Yellowstone Volcano has 300 miles of molten rock rising and expanding under the supervolcano. Yellowstone Volcano rests on top of a magma chamber that has risen to, well, others say 5 miles below the surface, others say 3 miles below the surface, depending, I guess, on where you're at in the area, according to a 3D model shown in a bombshell documentary by the BBC. This is by Callum Horn, Express UK. The supervolcano, as we know, is located in Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, around the northwest corner, and it straddles Montana and Idaho, and it has erupted 3 times in the recent history of 2.1 million years ago, 1.2 million years ago, and 640,000 years ago. Those were all super eruptions, VEI8, and volcanoes typically blow when this molten rock, the magma, rises to the surface following the Earth's mantle melting due to the tectonic plate shifting. Geologists use the data to draw a 3-dimensional model of the magma chamber, which of course sits on top of a magma reservoir, which sits on top of a magma plume, and the plume believed to be connecting to some dikes towards the Earth's core, revealing its sheer size and just how close it is to the Yellowstone caldera. And we recently, in the past videos, a few hours ago, you'll see that we found that the magma comes from Baja California, and it feeds the west coast of California that has the high threat volcanoes, with the western branch of that, and the eastern branch goes from Nevada through Utah, Idaho, and up to Yellowstone. So the model featured in BBC's here Supervolcano documentary, having to do with what they found concerning Yellowstone, shows a U-shaped chamber, and it contains more than 300 cubic miles of molten rock. This was a series from 2015, and they state it's just 5 miles below the surface. As we said, others say it's only 3 miles below the surface, and we're talking about, for example, the caldera, where you have the Yellowstone Lake. So as we know, people walk around there, they visit that area. Do they know that the roof of the caldera, the chamber over the caldera, is only 3 miles down? So more importantly, the area here of most dramatic rise is directly above the peak of the chamber, the magma chamber. This suggests that the magma chamber is expanding and is pushing up, as we know, against the Earth's surface. It's inflating, in other words. The last eruption of Yellowstone, it produced around 2,500 times more volcanic material than Mount St. Helens volcanic eruption of 1980. Now, geologists warned that once a triggering event takes place, an eruption could happen in as little as 2 weeks. Now, we posted this a couple of videos back concerning this, that there are geologists that have found that it can erupt in weeks or months, a super eruption of a supervolcano, that is. And others say it takes thousands of years. Well, take your pick. You either believe those that have the evidence of some kind of crystal analyzing in the rims of the supervolcanoes, that they found that it can take place quite quickly, or they can take thousands of years. You can take your pick who to believe. Now, Jacob Lowenstern, researcher with USGS in Vancouver, Washington, detailed how the last catastrophic supereruption incident may have played out. He says typically when these eruptions begin, they begin from a certain event, then they get larger as they move along the fracture system. The entire sequence that formed the last Yellowstone eruption may have taken as little as 2 weeks. That's frightening, isn't it? 2 weeks. This created the eruptive column so colossal that it covered about 60% of the US in a thick layer of ash. Now, if this same thing happens in such a quick time span, the ground around Yellowstone National Park would rise upward, forming a swarm of earthquakes, and then, following the eruption, enormous pyroclastic flows would blast their way across the park, a mixture of ash, lava blebs, and superheated gas exceeding temperatures of 1,000 degrees Celsius and can move at all speeds at up to 300 miles an hour. And that they are predicting to spread more than 100 miles out from Yellowstone, burying states around, that is Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Colorado, even up to Canada, and in 3 feet of volcanic ash. 3 feet. Now, if the pyroclastic flows hit anyone, they would possibly, of course, lose their lives within seconds, as the air could heat up to around 300 degrees Celsius. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.